It's just, I don't want to say overwhelming in a bad way, but in a good way.
Yeah. I mean, take me back to that night. Were you sleeping at the time?
Yes.
And then what happened?
Well, we had all gone to bed and fallen asleep about, I want to say about 9, 10 o'clock that night. Woke up to a banging on the door with my mother-in-law hollering and screaming, "Jess, get out. Jess, you need to get out." Well, of course, my first instinct was get up, flip the light on, because she's done that to me before, checking on me because she's had a nightmare. Open the door, and she's standing there looking down because the smoke's bothering her eyeballs. And I seen the smoke. I could hear the crackling of the fire downstairs. And I had grabbed up my 6-month-old who slept in a bassinet by the door, and she went back into her room, and I looked down the stairs to see if we could get out. Well, my next instinct was to wake up my oldest. So I hollered at him to, "Tom, you need to get up. You need to get up. The house is on fire. We need to get out." So I watched him get up and run to the door and to look down the stairs. And he was holding his mouth because, of course, the smoke and the fire safety at school. And he ran back in and jumped on my bed. And the next thing I did was grabbed up my 2-year-old, put him on the bed because I still had my 6-month-old in my arms. And first instinct was shut the door, keep the smoke out. And that's when power went out. And I remember from there, still a little fuzzy. From there on, I remember passing out a couple times. I don't remember hearing the kids at all after I had shut the door. Shortly after, a little while after, I realized that I wasn't going to get out. I remember throwing up. I do remember peeing on myself, realizing that my body was going to shut down, pulling the covers over, and climbing on the bed, trying to climb on the bed, and seeing a flash of light. And the next thing I knew, I was out on the overhang with my in-laws.
How did you get out?
Talking to my father-in-law later on, they had pulled me out of a window. How I got over there, I don't know. And apparently I didn't go very willingly. After talking to a friend of mine who had talked to my father-in-law shortly after the fire, apparently I was kicking and screaming when they were pulling me out the window, trying to fight to not leave that room without my kids.
So you literally blacked out. So you don't remember from the time where, at one point, where you're on the bed and then to where you're on the ledge.
Yeah, I don't know how I got over to the window because where our bed was in the room was on a back wall facing away from the window. Because later on, when I talked to my father-in-law to fill in a little bit of the holes from what they remembered, they tried shining a flashlight in, but they said there was so much black smoke in that room that they couldn't see anything. So the next thing they did was reach in to see if they could feel anybody, and the first body they found was pull me out.
So then you're on the ledge. You guys jump down, right?
No.
Okay.
Apparently, I was standing on the edge. I remember seeing my mother-in-law standing out in front of that window, looking over. My father-in-law was laying down on the overhang, turning and looking back around, and my mother-in-law was gone. Apparently, I was standing there looking long enough to where I don't know if I scared my father-in-law to where he was going to see me also go back in that window, but he started hollering, Jess, do you have your cell phone on you? Do you have your cell phone? I said, no. Shortly after that, I started coughing again and started screaming, help, help, trying to wake up the neighbors. And he says, well, come here, I'll help you down. Well, I reached down to grab his hand, went to swing my body down, and landed on the ground because I woke up. Apparently I blacked out again because I woke up laying on the ground in front of the porch to him hollering, Jess, you need to get up. You need to get up. You need to run to the neighbors and call 911. So I got up, realized my ankle had been hurt, started going towards the neighbor's house, turned back around, looked at the house, and he said, you need to go. Go, get to the neighbor's house. So I ran to the neighbors in front of us and banged on their door until they woke up. And had her call 911. Well, her husband came out, and I said, my babies are still inside. My babies are still inside. And after she made the phone call to 911, I called my husband, who was at work at the time at Saluda 7-Eleven, told him what was going on. All I told him was the house was on fire and he needed to come home. Then I called my mom and told her what was going on, and that's when she said the police needed us to go back over, to go back over the house so I could get checked out. And my father-in-law was sitting, the car we had given my mother-in-law for Mother's Day was parked like this. Well, he had the hood open, protecting his back from the heat from the house, and that's when they asked if there was any ammunition in the house, and there was a little bit because they like to go hunting and stuff. And so they moved us, I would say maybe about 15, 20 feet from the house into where they had parked the ambulance. And they looked us over. They had him blow his nose. They asked me if anything was hurt or whatever, and I was just in shock sitting there. I said, well, the only thing I know of is that my ankle is bothering me. So they let me sit there for a little bit till they could get another ambulance down the road, because of course all the fire trucks and my mom was parked there. They get ready to move me, and I seen my husband being tackled by apparently 4 police officers and a firefighter because he was running to the house.
Yeah.
And after they put me on the stretcher, going down the driveway, he asked me if the boys had made it out, and I just shook my head, and he collapsed.
Yeah. At what point do you realize that they weren't coming out?
I already knew after I was on the overhang that they weren't. I didn't hear any coughing, any screaming for Mom or anything like that.
How tough is that?
It's very hard. Very hard. Knowing and that we're never going to be there again. Is a hard one, but I know they'll never see disease, they'll never get sick, they'll never get old. They'll never see Mom and Dad go first. You know?
I can't imagine what that would be like as a mother, knowing you're kind of at that point you're just helpless.
Yep. I still play the what if game. What if I had done things different? Would they have made it out? But there were things that should have warned us ahead of time that the fire had started. We had a dog who was downstairs at the time. He never barked, never woke us up. And he was one of those dogs who, if there was a noise outside or if he had to go to the bathroom, he'd up and down the stairs, barking, howling, But he never made any noise. The cats never made any noise. It was just, and it's weird because my father-in-law is the heaviest sleeper in the house, and he was the first one who woke up to the smell of the smoke up the stairs.
You said as you were going towards the neighbor's house, you turned and looked. What, in that moment, what were you looking? I mean, were you just trying to...
Seeing if my mother-in-law would make it back out with my boys. Seeing if she was able to make it over to them. And seeing if he was able to get down or not, because he was still on the overhang when I went over to the neighbors to ask them to dial 911. And after she had called 911, when I went back over, he was down on the ground shouting for, of course, Mom. And
do you still see it?
Yeah, I still have nightmares. I still play, like I said, I still play the what if game. What if I had sent my oldest into my mother-in-law's room, and because they were the first ones out before we were. What if I had broken the window before I had picked up my 2-year-old and my 6-month-old, and what would have happened?
mean, you had them. I didn't realize that you had them before. I mean, I just assumed that they were in a different room. I didn't realize that.
No, we all slept in the same room.
Oh, so they were right there next to you.
Yeah. Well, not in the same bed. I had when my 7-year-old ran back in the room and jumped on my bed. I said, okay, he's on my bed. Put them on there so I can get to the window and get us out. And as soon as I shut that door, like I said, the power was out just like that. I mean, you're talking a matter of minutes and seconds.
And it probably felt like...
Felt like forever. It felt like forever. I remember gasping for air and not trying to catch my breath, not being able to call to them or say anything to them. Like I said, I don't remember hearing them coughing at all and anything like that.
Tell me about them a little bit.
They were wonderful boys. My 7-year-old was a very giving little boy. When the tornado hit, he did, first thing out of his mouth was, I want to donate my piggy bank. I want to help these people. Well, of course, he didn't want to stop at his piggy bank, but Mommy had to draw the line somewhere. He wanted to give his whole savings account. And I said, that's for your college. We're not. I got to draw the line somewhere. You're doing this and you're helping out and all that kind of stuff. I remember the last time we had gone to church, not the Sunday before, but the Sunday before that, they had a special donation jar. And all we had was a 20. And he said, I'm putting this in there. And of course, he walked up to the little donation jar and stuck his $20 in there. And he was a straight A student at school. Him and me had a little bet going on who could make straight A's, because of course I was in school for my bachelor's in accounting, and he was so proud of me that I'd made straight A's just like he did. And my 2-year-old Mike, he had a mind of his own. He didn't care if he was getting hollered at. He was still going to do what he was doing. And then Gabe, of course, was just turned exactly 6 months that day. And
it's one of those things where I'm sure that no mother ever wants to have to go through.
Yes, definitely. No, not even my worst enemy. I mean, no. No. You should never have to bury your kids before you. I mean, because we didn't even think of life insurance for the kids. We made sure me and my husband had life insurance, and, we didn't even have a life insurance policy for them.
Do you miss everything? I mean, anything that goes, are there things you miss most?
I miss his laugh, my 7-year-old's laugh. I miss picking him up off the bus. And, of course, my 2-year-old, that attitude, I'm going to do what I want to do no matter what I'm getting yelled at. It's just funny because he's like my husband with that attitude. Sometimes. He's gotten better. And my 6-month-old just started laughing. He just started that baby giggle of his, laugh out loud. And just giving them hugs and kisses and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I can't imagine.
It's hard. I have my days. Some days are better than others. Mornings are definitely hard. Waking up to what used to be a noisy household to now what is, I don't want to say quiet because we're with my father-in-law and my husband, but just waking up to silence, no screaming and hollering, no, Mike, come on, you got to get dressed, or Tom, hurry up, we're going to miss the bus if you don't hurry up, and all that kind of stuff. So.
How do you get by? I mean, how do you do that without them?
We support each other. There's the community. It helped. Like I said, we have each other. On my down days, it seems my husband is having a good day, and my husband's having a bad day. It seems to balance out itself. My father-in-law is. He has his days too. We're trying to stay busy, not just sit around and dwell on everything. Like I said, my husband keeps telling me to not play the what if game. And if I'm sitting around for like an hour or so, not doing anything, not playing on the computer or whatever, it's like, well, could I have done this different? Should I have stayed up later and worked on that assignment and not gone to bed with them that night, and they would have still been here?
Do you think sometimes why me? Why was I the one that was grabbed?
Yeah,
Why not? Why
I
wasn't-
do. But if it wasn't meant for me to be here, I would have been in that bed with them. God wouldn't have put me near that window for them to grab me out. It's hard. There's a lot of times where that first couple of days I was mad at God, of course. I wasn't supposed to have children, and then 3 boys and took them from me.
What do you mean you weren't?
I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome back in 2001, and I was told I wasn't going to be able to have children without fertility drugs. 5 years later, I found out I was pregnant with my oldest.
And then you just started popping them out.
Yeah. Well, it took us a while. We suffered a miscarriage in 2009, Thanksgiving morning. And then December, January, February, March. 4 months later, we found out we were pregnant with Michael. So.
Do you want to have any more?
I do. I've always wanted a big family. I used to want, when my husband and I first got together, I used to want 12 kids. A couple years after that, he talked me down to 9. And now recently I changed it to 6. And kids are amazing. So it's going to be a while for especially time to heal a lot more. And if God wants us to have more children, then he'll bless us with them, just like he did the first time.
Where do you get your strength from? Wow.
Everybody. My mom was a very strong-willed person, so I guess I get that from her. But like I said, I have the support of my husband and my father-in-law and the community and Crystal and all them. So it's just, my kids wouldn't want me sitting at home doing nothing. They'd want me out there helping other people, and it's just.
I know you said you plan to do that. You wanna be able to help people who will go with you similar situations.
Yeah, definitely. It's people don't realize that how things can happen. Yeah, you have your evacuation plan, but you need a backup evacuation plan, because you may not have the time to, or our evacuation route was, God forbid anything happened, you go down the stairs and out the front door. Well, what happens if you aren't able to go out the front door? You don't have that backup plan, and in a matter of, like I said, a couple seconds to less than 5 minutes, power goes out. What happens if power goes out? You can't see anything, or, so you got to have that, and the panic and the adrenaline going, and you don't know what you're going to do. But
yeah. I mean, you mentioned in a matter of seconds. I mean, you sit back and sometimes, wow, I mean, just you go from having this family to so much loss, and just literally.
the first 4 days were really, really hard. Really, really hard, but family stuck around, and hey, my husband made sure I got out of bed every morning, because there were days where I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to get up to it not being noisy and not having a baby to feed, and a 2-year-old to feed, and a 7-year-old to get on the bus for school.
Berlin, you got any questions?
You asked what I would have.
Of course I did.
I just, but these are hard things to talk about. I know that's, obviously got to be pretty tough. But
It's tough, and like I said, we support each other. It seems to balance out. If my husband's having a bad day, I'm having a good day. If I'm having a bad day, he's having a good day. So it helps to have him still be there. So
when he got there to that scene, and you can hear, because we talked to neighbors who said that you could hear him hollering when he got there, when he How tough was that for you at that point? I mean, what was that?
It
Did it
just my heart was gone. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. I was angry at myself. I didn't know if he was going to be mad at me because people take on things differently, and those were his boys. He's the last male of his line. If you don't have any more kids, that's where your bloodline stops. And he's been told I don't know if they were messing around with him or just he was told when he was younger that you're the last Grogan, you have to have a boy. You have to have a boy. And he had his boys, but now they're gone.
What's that like for him?
It's hard. He doesn't really talk about it. We talked about it the first week, but things are getting better. He's actually got his humor back, and they were always taught growing up that next to God, humor is the best, medicine. But we joke around, play around. He messes with me like he used to, picks on me like he used to. So, it shows it's still there. And I was just texting with him before y'all got here, so. Yeah.
Wow. I can't imagine what it's like being outside that house as it's burning, and you know that
They're gone. They're not there.
I just don't.
I think I was in shock at that state, so the emotion was just, all emotions were gone. Just knowing that the boys never made it out, and I am glad. I don't want to say glad. I don't know how to describe it, but they were gone before the fire even made it upstairs. And that is something that was held in the back of my head for the first couple of days before we talked with the actual officers, and I got to ask them. And so they didn't feel pain. They didn't burn alive. So, and that, I guess, I don't want to say it makes it easier, but it's...
Well, it's better. I guess what you're saying is better to know that they didn't suffer.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say that they didn't suffer, but I don't know how to put it into words. I know what my body went through, and I know what they went through. Of the smoke inhalation in your body shutting down. And
You just couldn't see anything once the lights
Nope.
went out.
It was total darkness. There wasn't... All I knew was I was at that bed, and I felt the covers, and that was it. I had made my decision.
How scary was that?
It was very scary. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't catch my breath. I remember throwing up, and like I said, I remember my body shutting down, and I had made my decision that if I was going to go, I was going to be with them boys.
Here you are.
There's got to be something meant for me to do, something he wants me to do. Letting everybody know that have your backup plan.
Do you still smell? I mean,
I don't smell it on salvage runs that we make. The smell does still bother me. Things we have picked up that haven't been cleaned off yet, it does still bother me. I can only deal with it for so long. Even driving down the road the other morning, somebody was burning wood, and that smell was just like, I need to, you can't turn off your vents or whatever, but you gotta just deep breaths and try to get past that.
have you gone back by the house?
Actually, I was back by there 2 days after I left out of the hospital, and we have been back by there. And the first day wasn't too bad because I wasn't really able to get in there and dig around and look for things. We went there probably about 2 weeks ago, and we had a nice day, and all the family, Sela, me, Tom, and everybody went to go do a salvage day and finding things that just shouldn't have survived a fire that survived a fire. Why these things and not them? I broke down. It was hard.
I bet that's tough going back.
Yeah. It's nice to find things, though. It is nice to find things like pictures that were salvageable, just all that kind of stuff. They found the original photo album of before my father-in-law and my mother-in-law even had my oldest sister-in-law, Angela, in the back room. And they were a little smoky, but they were able to salvage all the pictures out of the photo album. So it's things like that it's so amazing to find it, you know, and still have those pictures to say, oh, we remember that, you know. It's just...
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
You're getting these things out, but yet then you have these.
Yeah.
They bring memories, but yet there's these awful memories at the same time. I have to think.
Yeah. But
Do you have anything else?
No, I can't think.
Do you have anything else?
no, just want to tell everybody, if you got kids, hug them every night. Tell them you love them.
Do we sometimes take things for granted?
Yes, definitely. Oh, there's always tomorrow. There's always tomorrow. There may not be tomorrow one day.
Yeah, it seems like we definitely live for today, don't we?
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely. Definitely. And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
So what is it the parents out there, what would be your message?
What would be my message? Make sure your kids know what to do in a house fire. If they have to break a window, make sure you let them know to break that window to get out. Get out, get safe. Make sure you don't come back for anybody else. You know, you get out, you get safe, you call 911. Get to that neighbor's house, because it may be the difference of you making it next door to that neighbor's house and the amount of time for them to get there and enough time to, you know.
Your mother-in-law went back in. How much does that mean to you?
That means a lot. It means a lot. She's a hero in my eyes. Sacrificing. She was already safe. She was already out. That definitely means a lot.